And I want to caution you, sir, that you're testifying before a parliamentary committee, and you have an obligation to answer my questions fully and truthfully.
And if you accuse a member of parliament of doctoring images, I think you should tread very carefully in that.
And I want to make clear to you that I will not hesitate in using all of the tools available to hold you accountable.
Mr. Tomas Szuchewycz, who's the official agent for the Longest Ballot. Meeting to order. Welcome to meeting number 5 of the House of Commons Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs. Pursuant to Standing Order 108 Sub 3, the committee is meeting in public on the actions of the Longest Ballot Committee in recent Canadian elections. I would like to welcome our witnesses for today's first panel, Mr. Tomas Szuchewycz, who is the official agent for the Longest Ballot Committee. Each witness will have 5 minutes to deliver opening remarks, and then we'll proceed with questions and answers. First, we will go to Mr. Lowen. For 5 minutes, we'll turn to Mr. Szuchewycz.
Okay, members of PROC, given your mandate of reviewing both election law and conflicts of interest, it is extremely wise of you to take the time to investigate what the Longest Ballot Committee is all about. If there's one thing I want you to take away from my appearance today, it's that democracy is best managed with strict, nonpartisan impartiality. So while you consider that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to give a huge thank you to all the candidates who put their names forward to run in long ballots. And I want to give a huge thank you to all the voters who signed their names hundreds of times in support of those candidates and in support of electoral reform. Because of them, this protest has been successful beyond anything I honestly could have ever imagined. And now, clearly, we have the attention of politicians. Because I've been invited to Parliament today because they hear our message. They hear our shared desire for improving democracy. So I want to start with praise for 2 Canadian institutions. Elections Canada is admired for its professionalism and independence. We voters know that we are able to cast our votes and that everyone running the polling station is impartial and our votes will be counted fairly. Elections Canada is actually one of the most trusted government institutions in our nation, and that trust is deserved. Elections Canada is trusted precisely because it is nonpartisan and independent. The same is true of our electoral boundary commissions. In many places around the world, politicians actually decide their own districts. And what do? They gerrymander maps to try to lock in their own power. Canada wisely does not tolerate that. Instead, boundary drawing is the responsibility of independent commissions operating at arm's length from Parliament. So here's the problem. While ballot counting and boundary drawing are correctly protected from political interference, the rules of our election are not. The laws that govern how parties are regulated, how ballots are designed, about who's even allowed to put their name forward as a candidate, and about how votes get translated into seats. These laws are all still written and modified by you, MPs, with your partisan interests and with your careers actually depending on the outcome of each election. This is a textbook conflict of interest, obviously. The Longest Ballot Committee advocates that you MPs recuse yourselves from writing the rules of your own elections. We already know that the model of nonpartisan independence works. Canadians would be well served by a permanent, independent, nonpartisan body to oversee the full framework of election law. This reform would also protect you as MPs. When you propose changes to election law, you are often met with suspicion, and rightly so. Even good reforms can be dismissed as self-serving when they are written by people who are perceived to benefit from the changes. By handing responsibility to an independent, nonpartisan body, voters could finally trust that the laws were written to serve the best interests of Canadians, rather than to serve the best interests of the ruling parties. The Longest Ballot Committee is urging MPs to do the right thing and recuse yourselves from this blatant conflict of interest and establish a permanent, independent, nonpartisan body to oversee the full framework of election law. Thanks.
Mr. Cooper, we'll turn to you for 6 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Szuchewycz, you have operated as a key organizer for the Longest Ballot Committee and served as the official agent for many of the candidates affiliated with the Longest Ballot Committee, correct?
That is correct.
And your brother, Kieran Szuchewycz, also was an organizer with the Longest Ballot Committee, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and I want to ask you some questions about the recruitment of candidates and the collection of nomination signatures for the Longest Ballot Committee. When you and other organizers from the Longest Ballot Committee were collecting signatures, at times electors would have been presented with multiple nomination forms to sign simultaneously.
That's correct.
Okay. And as you went about collecting signatures and recruiting candidates, the Longest Ballot Committee told prospective candidates that they didn't have to worry about collecting signatures because the Longest Ballot Committee already had collected the 100 or more signatures needed for them to get onto the ballot. Isn't that true?
No, that's not true. You have that a little bit backwards. So we recruit candidates, we get all their names, and then we collect signatures for them. We're not like just collecting signatures for people who said they don't want to run.
So I have a video that you posted on YouTube to the Longest Ballot Committee on August 18th, 2024, in respect of the LaSalle-Imard-Verdun by-election, in which you state that if we're going to break the record for the longest ballot, we need everyone to sign up as soon as possible. We've already collected 100 nomination signatures for you. All you have to do is follow the instructions.
Hello, Tomas Szuchewycz here, official agent for the Longest Ballot Committee. There are already 50 confirmed candidates for the Montreal by-election, but there's only 1 week left until the close of nominations. If we're going to break the record for the longest ballot, we need everyone to sign up as soon as possible. We've already collected 100 nomination signatures for you. All you gotta do is follow the instructions in the email we sent you. Let's make a big push this week to keep the conversation around electoral reform alive.
In fact, you and other organizers for the Longest Ballot Committee were going around with nomination forms that didn't have candidates' names on them. Isn't that correct?
That is not correct.
I'm going to stop you there, Mr. Szuchewycz, because I have a tweet that was posted by the Longest Ballot Committee on January 22nd, 2024, of you, of Kieran, and of I believe, a Glenn McDonald.
Yep.
And when you look more closely, this is you. We see where the candidate's name is on the nomination form with signatures. The candidate's name is blank. So that's precisely what you were doing, was going out and collecting signatures, getting electors to sign blank nomination forms, not candidate nomination forms.
That is not accurate.
Well, I just present you with evidence, documentary evidence, that establishes that, in fact, it is accurate. And I want to caution you, sir, but you're testifying before a parliamentary committee, and you have an obligation to answer my questions fully and truthfully. And if you fail to do so, sir, you can be held in contempt of Parliament. And I want to make clear to you that I will not hesitate in using all of the tools available to hold you accountable should you not provide truthful and accurate answers, which up till now you have not. So I'm going to give you one last opportunity to confirm on the record that you went about collecting signatures from electors where the candidate's name was blank. That's what you did, right?
No, that is not accurate. If you would give me a chance to actually respond, you've made quite a few incorrect assumptions here. Where would you like me to begin? With the AI doctored images or with your misunderstanding of what sign up means? So in that video, when I say sign up, what I'm referring to is that these are candidates who have already expressed that they want to run. We then collected their signatures, with the candidate name at the top. Obviously, that's the rule.
It's not at the
It
top.
was at the top. I was there.
Candidate's name was
And
not at the
then
top.
when we say we already have your signatures, you need to finish signing up, that is referring to fill out your forms, book a appointment with the returning officer to do your declaration. Like, this is very straightforward. You have it kind of mixed up. If you want to talk about those AI manipulated photos, I'm happy to do so.
These are, I don't have anything mixed up. What I have are
Respectfully, you do have that mixed
a
up.
YouTube video.
If I can for a moment, Mr. Szuchewycz.
Yeah.
We operate here on a position that members of Parliament are honourable, and to accuse a member of Parliament of doctoring images, I think you should tread very carefully in that. I don't know about these images, but I'm giving you a warning in terms of, I don't find it funny, sir. I don't think you should find it funny either. Mr. Cooper is correct in what Parliament can do, and perhaps you don't have respect for the individuals sitting at these chairs. Please have respect for the institution and the electors that put us here. Sorry, Mr. Cooper. I think we stopped about 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
No, we have never collected signatures with blank candidate names. The Chief Electoral Officer has already testified to you that there's no credible evidence of any
Chief
wrongdoing.
Electoral Officer in his testimony said that your committee initially got caught doing precisely just that. That was his testimony.
Respectfully, Mr. Chair, that it was not his testimony. His testimony was that we collected without an identified candidate, which is true. We wrote all candidates were in the candidate field, and we got people to decide. We said, would you be willing to nominate any and all candidates?
Form. That's what you did. You just admitted it.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Thank you.
The Chief Elections Officer, Mr. Perot, told the committee that people should face penalties for signing multiple nomination papers. Would you agree with that statement?
I believe that was one of his suggestions. I don't really see a reason for that. I don't really see the logic in it. Personally, I prefer it when there's more than one candidate on the ballot. So I should be able, as a voter, to nominate more than one candidate.
You're aware that Section 480.1, subsection 1, says every person is guilty of an offense who with intent mislead, falsely represents themselves to be, or causes anyone to falsely represent them to be, E, a candidate or a person who is authorized to act on a candidate's behalf. Would you agree that asking somebody to sign a nomination paper that has all candidates written at the top or no candidate's name would be a false representation under the Act?
No, I'm not a legal expert, but I don't believe it was. Of course, the returning officer determined that that wasn't acceptable to be, like the candidates couldn't get accepted based on those forms, and so they were refused, and that's fine.
Also in the Elections Act, Section 482.1, every person is guilty of an offense who obstructs or hinders or knowingly makes, either orally or in writing, a false or misleading statement to the Commissioner of Elections of Canada Elections or any person acting under his or her direction, while the Commissioner or the person acting under his or her direction is exercising or performing powers, duties, or functions conferred or imposed upon the Commissioner under this Act. So that's obstruction. Do you think any of the actions of your committee have actually obstructed and met the definition here for obstruction under Elections Canada? And have you been given any warnings? Have you been given any reprimands? And have you been threatened with charges by Elections Canada?
Certainly not to any of those questions. I've never been reprimanded and I have no intention of misleading anyone. We have nothing to hide. We do everything by the book.
I will exercise my ability as chair to ask a question, and it's picking up on what Mr. Culkins was alluding to with appointing people who would seemingly not be accountable. I know in our system, and I think you even spoke about it in terms of the Elections Canada being respected. The executive appoints a nominee to be the head of Elections Canada, and an organization that's independent like the RCMP is appointed and then is accountable to Parliament. It worries me that you're proposing an agency that may not be accountable. Who are these individuals who would be appointed to this committee, I guess is my question, if it wasn't going to be politicians or the executive who was going to make that appointment.
Yep, that's a fantastic question. I'm not a policy expert. It's very obvious to everyone that it's inappropriate for conflict of interest for MPs to be in charge of it. So I'm extremely confident that if you had an in-depth discussion about it, you could come up with something very reasonable.
So well, I guess I'll leave it as a comment that it's very bizarre to me that you're engaging in this protest without the very basic answer to the first question that would come up in solving what you are seeking to protest. But I appreciate you appearing before the committee. We will suspend for a few minutes to set up for the next panel.